So, Supercars in Asia. We had the round in China in 2005, and Tony Cochrane talked about how there was a plan to do um, there was a plan to have a Chinese V8 Supercar series in 2006 or 7 or something, and all the teams were going to be providing a car. They were going to be building a car for it, and the negotiations just didn't end up working out. But they had this plan for it, and so that was interesting. That little factor that came out. It was in V8 Sleuth. And another thing that Tony Cochrane said, because I think they were just talking about, these. I think he just talked about it because he just loves to talk, and he just said that people saying, "Oh, they don't make any money doing these overseas races," and he says, "Well, yeah, we do, from selling the freaking broadcasting rights, right? The money, it's already been sold. We get to sort of advertise supercars in these other countries, but people are saying like, oh, but nobody was at these races. Like, yeah, but people don't go to every single supercars race. So, like I go to 1 or 2 a year. That's what I do. I might go to Talon Bend, probably go on the Adelaide 500. It depends on how money goes, pretty much. And so that's sort of his point. Is like most people just go to 1 or 2 races a year. They don't go to every race. So this idea that every single round has to have lots of people at it is just sort of a silly thing. As long as it covers its costs, it's fine. The idea is to have a championship that continues to run its course. So the idea that you don't make any money going to Asia, it just costs money, Tony Cochrane says that's a load of rubbish. They did make money going to Asia. Why didn't they continue? Good question. Maybe they just couldn't get a deal through with the organisers, with the owners of the track. Maybe it was a calendar thing. I think there was one in 2010 or something. I'll look it up for a hot second. 2010 V8 Supercars Championship. So we'll see. Race calendar. I know. Maybe it was 2011. Bahrain stopped at some stage, and there was some sort of calendar reason, right? The Desert 400 was scrapped for V8 Supercar, stating the decision not to hold the event was because the circuit's international racing calendar was too full for an early season date. There you go. That's why. And I guess Supercars had already organised deals with every other race in 2011, so they couldn't do it. But they did do Abu Dhabi. So there we go. 2012. I think 2012 we had Abu Dhabi, but it was later in the year. It wasn't the season opener. So there you go. They just had that one race. So they just didn't bring back Bahrain, I guess, because they wanted a certain time of year. Then they just didn't have Abu Dhabi in 2013. What articles Eastern Creek dropped for the calendar? So there's that. You got this is probably not going to take me anywhere if I click this link. Oh, here we go. So what do they say about Abu Dhabi? Notable changes are the return of the traditional Sandown 500 in September and the move of Abu Dhabi to November. The event will be a support to Formula One. So that's what they were doing in 2012, being a support to Formula One in Asia or in the Middle East. But they didn't renew it, which was interesting. Or the weekend after Abu Dhabi is after TPC. What did it end up being? Sydney, right? On the official calendar issued today. Oh, the one afterwards. Which, what did we see? That was the end of it. Nothing else about, okay, also the Super 2 Championship. So they're worried about losing Hamilton there. Should Scaife wear both hats, continue racing and still chair the Supercars Commission? Well, he left the commission anyway. Well, actually, he stopped racing after 2011. That was the end of that. Should the 500 return to Sandown? No, it's an age-old question, isn't it? Why not? Just keep it going. Keep it going until they say can't, and then just do something else. Taylor Mend is always keen. All right. So no story on why Abu Dhabi was dropped. So here we go. The calendar was released. Oopsies. Let's talk about Eastern Creek dropped from 2013. Oh no, it's gone. All right. Let's try going back here. Because that's Autosport, and apparently they broke their website. Now, this is probably wrong because it's not the announcement website. That's the issue. Supercar Spearhead, support category of the Grand Prix. Is this one going to take us nowhere as well? No, this is fine. Okay. This is an announcement just about the Grand Prix. Andrew Westercott. Is he still doing it these days? Who knows? Alright, so yeah. No idea why Abu Dhabi. Supercars at Abu Dhabi. Let's find an article. Yeah, 2011 was great. Jason Bright and James Courtney. 40 days until V8's Adidas Mariner. V8 Supercars confirms Abu Dhabi cancellation. 2013. Been officially reduced to 14 events. Confirmation category will not be on the Abu Dhabi Formula One Grand Prix support schedule this season or this year. Because they wanted to be on as a Formula One support. And this is James. Hang on, is this James Warburton? I think it might be. They went through like one or two guys until they got James Warburton. Bit of a weird time. A move by Formula One management to bring GP2 and GP3 to Yas Marina. His CMB is a question. Yep. The news emphasized the role of F1 in the process and underlined a desire to return to the Middle East venue on an alternative date in 2014. Supercar CEO David Malone, who's always been clear there for ultimate size. Yeah, obviously. We were acutely aware of this when we announced 2013 calendar, and then they made the decision in December. We thoroughly enjoy competing alongside Formula One. Absolutely comfortable with this news. Contingencies in place. We'll discuss the options, which may include racing on alternate date to Formula One in 2014 as soon as possible. We have Richard Cregan and his team at Abu Dhabi Motorsport Management and a committed combined will to find an alternative solution that is for all. V8 Supercars will not replace the planned Abu Dhabi event, which will now give its teams a 3-weekend break. There are contingencies in place, and we will discuss the options. For 2014, not for 20. Not for 2013. Okay. So, yeah, they just wanted to be on the Formula One bill, and Formula One was like, no, we want F3 and too. That's why. So there you go. And so that because that was the attitude of Supercars to be on the Formula One thing, they stopped being on it. Now what happened with Bahrain? China was just like a 1-year deal. Bahrain to focus on. So they just haven't gone back, I guess. They just haven't gone back. Like Car of the Future keeping Wing Cup and V8s. What? That's funny. Bahrain to focus on local racing before V8s. CEO of the Bahrain International Circuit spoken to decide to build its domestic racing. Has hosted its own Supercars quotation marks championship. 2 different types of cars competing. The Walkinshaw Performance Chevy Luminas plus the newer range of cars SC09. Right. Having only held its first motor race in the country in 2004, the category is starting to gain a following. Right, there's also a significant increase in karting in the country in the past years. We need to feed it. So this whole exercise of having them is how long it takes to grow that history and foundations. They would understand that the category didn't start in 3 or 4 years. They had a long history of racing in the country. There was Peter Brock and Dick Johnson. They had a great head start. V8s can't come all the way to the Middle East for 1 or 2 races, and there are people who can't see the point. Other than the money and the great experience, it didn't make sense. Other than the money and the great experience. So Supercars was paying to go to the Middle East, but Supercars was doing well as well. So, like, you know, if you got money, you pay for the thing that you want. They just didn't see the benefit. The news of Bahrain's desire to hold off on hosting a Supercars event in the immediate future rules out of joining the championship this year as its TPA round, yet to have a circuit allocated. Head back to the Middle East at Abu Dhabi. So Abu Dhabi got rid of Supercars because they wanted F2 and F3, and Bahrain. It's interesting. Can we have those conversations back? So, but I think what James Warburton is talking about is something else. He's talking about in Asia. Separate overseas series of vision. Yeah, okay. So, alright, so after that, I'm going to that and we'll show. Hang on. Here's the cars in Asia. Okay, there's that. It's this, very nice. So yeah. There's the Malaysian one, so we could show that. I'll show the Malaysian thing, and then I'll go through my notes. I've got a few things to talk about when it comes to in Asia. Alright, so Supercars target standalone Asian-based series by 2027. Good old James Warburton being bold. Alright, and I've got notes on what it is. So the Malaysian thing fell through because the Malaysian businessmen were dodgy. Alright. Then we're hearing Asia doesn't want it. Asia has what? The TSS, Thailand Super Series. So there's a few things. Yeah, there's this idea that Asia doesn't want it. But if Warburton is convinced that, like, he's been talking to Asian business owners and they want to bring supercars to Asia, then that's why we're doing it. He says, "Oh, there's lots of, there's lots of potential there. That there are a handful of rich people wanting to run the Thailand Super Series. streamed on Speed Cafe, and it just wasn't that interesting. So there's this idea of the kit approach. So like we'll send you the gear, and you run the championship. That's the idea. Like, yeah, you're gonna have your own sponsors, you're gonna have your own people doing it. So you do it however you want to do it. If you want to do 10 lap races, do 10 lap races.